I'm glad the recording is helpful to pause and go through things at your own pace. Yeah, that's gonna be helpful, especially when we get into the deep dive, because we're gonna go through a lot. And we're gonna have a lot of deliverables too. We have 90,000 placements on apps, games, and websites and YouTube channels to exclude your content from that are usually like junk. We'll have a negative keyword list that we have start as a standard that we apply to every single one of our campaigns. I think it's like 120, 130 negative keywords that we're going to be giving to you guys to instill into your own campaigns. There's going to be, the difference between positive and negative dynamic ad targets when we do DSAs that we're going to go through. Even smart shopping campaigns by geographical region when we set it up in the feed versus when we actually set up in Google Ads, all the good stuff. So you'll have a lot that you'll be able to watch on the recordings if you're not going to be doing it live. That will be, there's no steps that are going to be skipped. And then John, how do we access the Monday live sessions? It's right on YouTube. I go live on YouTube. So hop over to our YouTube channel every Monday. I think I start at like 9:27, 9:28. And I usually sit there by myself for like 5 minutes talking to myself, which is really awkward, but then waiting for people to join. And then I start, answering questions. So it's just one big Q&A. It's not me presenting anything. I just kind of hang out. I'm like, all right, anybody have any questions? Then boop, they just start trickling in and then I just go through them. So right on our YouTube channel, every Monday at 9:30, and I just hang out and wait for people to come in and ask questions. Usually anywhere between like 5 and 30 people that come into those things and just ask any questions. So see here, any reason to hold off setting up smart shopping until that day of training, or should I just get it started using the 3x challenge info? You can do the smart shopping setup. I wouldn't launch it yet. My opinion is it's best to launch smart shopping alongside of other campaigns, because other campaigns are going to feed smart shopping, especially if you have zero traffic to your website, especially on Google. I would wait to launch smart shopping until brand, competitor, DSA, dynamic remarketing. Trying to think of anything else that I would wait for, but yeah, it would be definitely brand, inbound search, DSA, competitive, dynamic remarketing, and possibly some discovery in YouTube, depending upon your budget, and maybe display. Just depends. We'll discuss that too. I'm updating my site and then run the ads. The marketing agency screwed up my entire site by changing my tags. A lot of traffic, but the collections were not showing up. So sad. Oh, Tamika, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. That's kind of why we wanted to do this, is just because there's just so many people that are like, oh, this is the Google Ads dashboard, and boom, I'm an agency owner. Like, it's just sad. So I'm so sorry to hear that. But yeah, that's I will never make a recommendation without being able to pull up at least a few examples and share with you that this is how it works. And that's because we do this, we don't teach this for a living. So hopefully, following along, you'll have the best campaigns that you can have that we can provide. Oh, and then Cosmo answered that. Tamika wanted to cry, I can imagine. So that's just, yeah, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. And if I pronounce anyone's name incorrectly, feel free to unmute yourself and correct me. I think the one thing that's always horrible is if I mispronounce and I just keep doing it. So please just say, like, I'm gonna say Niha. If you unmute and say John, it's Naha. Okay, I'll remember. My name's John. Is Niha? Perfect. Thank you so much. Like that's good. Yeah. My name is John. I'm a syllable. I'm one syllable. Like that's as cultured as I get. So I apologize. So it's that's I'm going to try to do the best I can. I said the campaigns from 3x. Should I pause now then until, well, it depends. Are you seeing any sort of success knowing that it could take a while? So if you haven't seen kind of like instantaneous success, which some people do, then I would recommend pausing them, just because smart shopping will learn on its own, but having a lot of helpful campaigns will help it learn faster. So both are viable. If you say, hey, I'm okay with just leaving this on and then start to add on the other campaigns, knowing that this campaign may spend ineffectively for a short period of time. I think that we're going to be getting into it here in the next, obviously, few days. So, it's okay to probably leave them on if you've already started it. It's maybe just keep your ad spend lower, $10, $20 a day would probably be safe. Carlos says, best way to scale a one product store that already has some profitable traffic. The product is in the wine glass space. Does smart Google shopping still work well for this? Yes, I'll pull up a campaign actually here. Again, I love being able to provide examples and long-term examples. Remember that that company I told you about that has the Bluetooth speaker, the outdoor Bluetooth speaker. Let's do this here. So cool. So this is that company. And you can see here, this was the summer months, and this is clicks and conversions. So you can kind of see how they kind of flow in line with each other. They sell one product, really. It's like one main product. Then they have a 4-pack, and then they started to introduce a bundle with headphones. I said, this has nothing to do with the brand, so I'm not going to run these. And that was actually a good idea. But this is pretty much like the main product here. You can see 25 grand in cost, 82 in converted value. There is the possibility to run one campaign, but you do want to run other campaigns in addition to that, because, and we'll go through this, but adjust your budgets accordingly. You'll see that this one's spending 130 and this is spending a lot less than 130. So pretty much more than half of the budget is spent into this one product, but that's because the other ones, if we bring over the ROAS, it's like 320 and then 78 and 43 and then 833, obviously because of brand name, that has the second highest in sales. But these here, like dynamic search, is small. I mean, we've only spent since January of, or what is this, March of 2020 in DSA, $2,400. And one of the reasons is when you look at attribution, and we'll cover the proper attribution model to the proper campaign, to the proper flow, and we'll customize it individually for each one of you, or at least show you exactly what to look for. The top pass over this course of time are going to be vast. And I have 46 different paths here. And you'll see that you might have, a non-brand to brand, or you'll have a smart shopping to back to brand to smart shopping, or you'll see a dynamic search to smart shopping, a dynamic search to brand. And you're like, wow, dynamic search is horrible return on ad spend. And it's not necessarily that it's a horrible return on ad spend. It's just when we started it new, they don't end up there. Now we use last click on this one against my will. It's up to the client's discretion. So I try to set up accordingly. So I'm just not throwing out the budget. But I know that dynamic search is actually producing a little more revenue than what it's showing, but it's not producing it as well. But what it is doing, it is feeding smart shopping. All of these campaigns here are feeding smart shopping. So that's why this has the most amount of budget. And the smart shopping campaign is a 320% return on ad spend. So, we've spent in these campaigns, they had some campaigns that started before me, but since I've been managing the account, spent 47 grand, made 136, 289% ROAS. Now, if it was up to me, I'd be running pretty much just smart shopping brand and then a inbound display. I wouldn't be doing anything else. He kind of wants to scale, but that's neither here nor there. I'll teach you the way that I want to run it. Sometimes we get paid to do what the clients want. Otherwise, they're going to do it themselves, or they are happy doing it sometimes the wrong way. Anywho, the way that I would do it is to keep the majority of the budget inside of the campaign that has the best return on ad spend and the one that learns the most, unless it's being outpaced by a different campaign. And so with a one product, run some small YouTube, run some small display, run some small search, but smart shopping is going to be the absolute best for one product. And I really mean that. Smart shopping, there's nothing out there that will beat a smart shopping campaign for, nothing out there that will beat a smart shopping campaign for a singular product store. Smart shopping is going to be the best, but other things can teach it. And so since we went through our summer, you see the reds, conversions, blues, the clicks, went through the summer, and then we said, hey, September, October, November, December, and now January, we're starting to increase the spend back up because we're getting into the summer months, which has been the best months. So seasonality is a factor. Make sure if it's a singular product, if there is seasonality, increase and decrease your ad spend accordingly. But I would say that keep your budget into the campaign that has the best performance, which in our most often case of singular products is smart shopping. There will be times like for whatever reason, I don't exactly know why, but their search campaign here, which is what we're going to be teaching you, we spend $2,200 a day on it. So we spent 50 grand in the last 30 days to make 333,000. Like, it's just fantastic. But then smart shopping is like right there next to it. By in the last 30 days, we spent 30 grand and made 113. It's awesome. It's just not as good as a search campaign, which is why you test everything. But for singular campaigns, most often smart shopping is going to be the best. Man, there's a lot of things here. Oh, that's all the notes. Okay, cool. I thought I missed like 50 questions.
Big shout out, by the way. Thank you for that. That was
Dave, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Shout out, 20,000 people reached in Facebook ad with 0 sales. What is happening? Well, you're on Facebook. No, I'm just kidding. I honestly, man, Yvonne, you're more the ninja in Facebook, and I think that's probably not really going to be extremely valuable for everyone here, just because I think that we want to stay true to what people paid a lot of money for is Google. But it says, I'm only letting it sit because you said it's bad for data gathering to stop it. My opinion is there's probably a lot more at work there, the more time than we have on this call to go through. But I think the crash course that Yvonne is going to be heavily influencing, because Yvonne's managed, a couple $100,000 in ad spend in a very short amount of time, like less than a month. We'll be able to speak to that a lot more. My opinion is, if you have 20,000 people reached, depending upon your clicks and your cost and no sales, maybe it's just time to at least wean off and slow down. Smart shopping will pick up those people and start to remarket to them. But what you don't want to do is, since smart shopping is a learning algorithm, if you teach it a lot of irrelevant people that have interacted possibly with the site that don't buy, it's going to go after those people. It's going to try to find them, try to convert them, which means costing ad spend. So you could sometimes influence a smart shopping campaign negatively with a lot of junk traffic that when you start it, you say, wow, I'm spending a lot, but just no sales are coming in. So my opinion is either wean off heavily or stop it completely. If you're just not seeing any performance, in my opinion, no reason to keep running that.
Well, no, the iOS 14 update just tanked to Facebook to a degree that I don't know that is going to be replicable in the short term. They took a 28-day attribution window, they brought it down to 7. They have 3-day delays in attribution. We saw with the big client that we run Facebook for as part of our individual consulting, his CPMs went from like, what was it, Yvonne, like 15 to 80? Like Facebook went just off the rails.
Yeah, about that. I just checked some of the accounts, and we don't have gender and age data for
all the dimensions are gone. Would that happen too with React Shopify?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we are ever getting. I believe they just ignore it, that they will need to provide this data and it won't be available.
And Sean, if you have actually 0 sales, I mean, like your Shopify or your e-commerce store just says 0, it's not an attribution problem. It just means that it's just not selling though too. So I would say we often pause it.
I would just hide from Facebook right now. That's actually kind of what we're going to talk about with the crash course. What we're looking for from Facebook in the crash course is to increase our Google ROAS. We're not trying to be profitable with Facebook. We're trying to use Facebook traffic in order to feed smart shopping, which honestly I think is wicked ninja. Like, talk about the smartest thing anybody can do with this broken traffic channel that nobody can track conversions from. Well, let's go see if we can drive traffic, if we can experience a conversion lift. But Facebook standalone, I just don't believe in right now.
Yep. And is it Joseph, I'm guessing? And feel free to unmute if I got it wrong. Joseph?
Yeah, that's correct. Joseph. Joe.
Perfect. Awesome. So you may miss this. You can go back and watch the recording. But what if you have more than one store? You run one ad account and connect it to multiple stores. Wonder how solutions. Oh, so we actually have a hard, fast rule, 1 URL per client. And so what that means is if you had 2 stores, you would be technically 2 clients to us, which means 2 everything. 2 Google Ads, 2 Google Merch Center, 2 Google Search Console, 2 Google Analytics, 2 Google Tag Managers. You never want to cross-pollinate those ever, in my opinion. Short term, because it won't work. You can only connect one website to a merchant center, and then you can only connect really one merchant center to a Google Ads account if you want it to work correctly. Conversion tracking, you have 1 gclid and 2 recipients, it's not going to send back properly. So always do 1 URL, and that's how you would look at it. If my URL ever changes, or like if I need to drive traffic to more than 1 URL, separate everything. Long-term reason is because if you ever wanted to grow and sell off one company, no one's going to buy it if those 2 are connected. And you might experience that where you have really good success and you might have $100,000 months, and if you have a 10x EBITDA, you could sell that company for a couple million. So just think about that long term. It's always a good reason to. But I would just say absolutely.
Well, to John's point, everybody on this call needs to be aware of this. I'm a part of a mastermind called War Room. I'm the dumbest, poorest person in that room. Just I'm not trying to brag. There's like nothing but a bunch of like big money dudes. all of them right now, the big rush, it used to be SaaS companies. Everybody wanted to buy a SaaS company. Do you want to know what they want to buy today?
E-commerce? Yeah.
All of them. There's a guy that he was talking about buying agencies that service e-com companies just so they could see which e-com companies are being successful so they could then go buy those e-com companies. And they buy them small. They actually like to get them small because then they don't have to give you the great big valuation. I'm not telling you to do that. It's probably not in your best interest, but don't think because of your size or whatever that you're not viable. There's a mad rush, there's a gold rush on e-commerce companies that have been able to prove viability. So to John's point, build your company so that an exit is at least semi-possible, because there's a lot of people that are actually receptive to that.
We work with companies too. They're like, John, look at this company. I'm like, okay. And he's like, you think this is scalable? I'm like, I think so. Why? He's like, well, we're thinking about buying. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know you're in a position to do that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's really interesting. People that have a good amount of money will just buy another company rather than build it from scratch because obviously it's easier and they have the money to do so. So that's just one of the reasons. I wouldn't say like think only of it. The big reason though is it just won't work. It's something that it will physically stop you because G-Click can't track back to the website. Click your conversions actually be different. If you have 2 analytics or 2 Google Tag Managers, only one will fire at once because browsers are canonical. Yeah, there's a whole big reason, but absolutely only run 1 account. And then also Google possibly will just suspend you. So I would say that's something that you always want to just run 1. All right, my ads keep getting flagged for disapproved substances. We sell bed mats and no substances. So I appealed the ads a few times, but they keep coming back disapproved. I spoke with Google yesterday and they told me to appeal it again, but I'm worried that if I keep appealing, it will harm the account. Is there any way to figure out? Mariana, can you let me know what the URL is? I'm just gonna take a look real quick. So if you wanted to just drop that in the chat, I'll do that. Oh, Josie, I hope I'm okay sharing the screen. Is that okay? Quick thumbs up, thumbs down. Cool, thank you so much. Awesome, I'm just gonna go to it real quick. So, when it says substances, I'm guessing it's in the ads that is saying substances. And usually when you hover over the ad for the disapproved for substances, it will actually tell you the word. Do you know if you've tried that or if you've seen that yet? And I actually can't see you anymore because I share my screen and now I only see 5 people. If you can unmute, that would be great if that's possible. That's just so I can talk because I can't see anymore. I'm sorry.
I'll try. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep, gotcha.
Great. I haven't tried it. I don't know how to check what is actually triggering it.
Okay, I'll actually go to an account that actually has some disapprovals that we just said, oh, that's fine, we ignored it. This one here, I think we have some disapproved. Let's see here. I don't even remember if we have any disapproved. We have 600 ads and there's a lot of them that are old. Yeah, that's all right. But what will happen is like you hover over status that says disapproved and a little pop-up that will come up and next to it says disapproved because of, and I think one of these was actually stem cell because it was an experimental or speculative treatment is what they called it. Google has some really oddities. Oh, here we go, like this one. Let's see here. So restricted medical content. This one, I did not have it. And so let's see here. These are, I'm okay. Let's see here. Yeah, and I think that's all that we had. It was just some limiteds. Anywho, but sometimes you hover over it, it'll actually give you the real term. Now the other part is, do you have a blog on here? Let's see if there's any areas sometimes where there's a blog. Sometimes you'll see we had one thing that a person had a testimonial from a doctor about a natural treatment says it's as effective as steroids. It said, oh, steroids disapproved, because it took it out of context. So first thing I would check is hover over that disapproved ad, see if a bubble pops up and gives you the actual term. And if not, let me just stop sharing so I can see the chat here again. Chat was substances. Got it. Let's see here. Oh, you do have a blog. Okay. In the blog, asthma diagnosis. That might be something.
It says destination S23. And when I hover over the unapproved substances thing.
Destination S23.
S23, that's the reason.
It's interesting, and I haven't seen that one yet.
I don't see anything in the Google destination requirements specifically for S23.
I've never seen that one actually, which is really odd.
Well, I'd say congratulations to Mariana. She just stumped us.
Right. So let's see here.
Thanks.
If it's substance, now you don't have a ton of blogs, which is good. It's not bad, but we might have to go and usually what this is because of blog. It's not something that's found on product pages because not a lot of time are taken in the blogs to make sure that it's not sensitive content. Usually it's found in the blogs. So one thing that I've done is if you want to remove the blog page from your site, reappeal. And if that does get approved, then it's something in the blogs. And then we'd have to kind of go hunting one by one. But sometimes it is a process of elimination where when you appeal, it says, well, is it still found? And sometimes it'll go through your blogs and then say, oh, well, that's not there anymore. Yes, approved. That would be a way for a quick fix, not a long-term fix. And then going through, it's literally a fishing expedition. You have to hunt for stuff sometimes if it doesn't give you that. Now I'll go to school and see if I can find it. I've never seen an S23 disapproval. That's something I never even heard of that before. There's no literature around S23 at all. So if it's substances, usually that means something like chemical related or something that's going to be disapproved from Google themselves. But first thing I would do is remove the blog from the site. Is it Shopify? Yeah, it looks like Shopify, right? Yeah. So remove the blog, which should be instantaneous. And then after an hour after you remove the blog, actually, in my opinion, maybe remove the blog, wait a day so that there's no permeation throughout the internet. So like a removed for you, but somewhere on the other side of the country, they can still see it before it's been refreshed. Remove the blog, wait a day, resubmit, and then check back in with us if that's okay. I would imagine it's got to be somewhere in the blogs.
I'll try that. Thank you very much.
Yep, you got it. More on competition search. Can my website show up when customers are looking for my competition site? That's one of the things that we're actually going to be going through. And I hope it's Manali. If I got that right. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But we're actually going to be building a competitor campaign. And that competitor campaign is going to go after the people looking for our competitors to put an ad in front of them so that it is a competitive alternative. And so, for example, someone looks at Wayfair, can my home decor site show? Yes. Now, Wayfair, this is going to be something we'll cover in the strategy as well. I would be more specific. So when you look at people looking for Wayfair, you're going to blow your entire daily budget on people just accidentally clicking on your ads because there's thousands of people going to Wayfair. So what I would say is if you're looking for Wayfair traffic, hopefully there's something that is more one-to-one. So if you sell desks, as an example, or beds, look for people looking for Wayfair beds. Don't just look for people looking for Wayfair, because otherwise you're just going to blow your entire budget. Be like, oh, Wayfair, click on that. That's not Wayfair. Click the back button. Then all of a sudden, all your daily budget's gone. Because people might be going to Wayfair to look at my tracking number. I have a open ticket. Something didn't arrive. You charged me incorrectly. I need a refund. Where is it? You know, you're going to have everyone going to Wayfair for every reason. So be very specific. And only choose keywords that overlap with the products that you have as well. So Wayfair sells beds and dressers and you sell beds and dressers, but Wayfair sells like 50 other things, and they do. So do like Wayfair beds or Wayfair best dressers. We'll try to pick some more specific ones that overlap with what you have so that only when people are looking for dressers from Wayfair, you have dressers, you two now can overlap. And then we're going to show you how to bid very inexpensively because people are also going to be bidding on Wayfair as well. You're not going to be the only competitor going after Wayfair. And so we'll make sure to structure the bids appropriately to make sure that we're not going to blow our budget, because when it is super competitive, if you use like maximize conversion value, you can waste $30 a click on one Wayfair click. So we'll want to start with manual CPC without enhanced, and then we'll show you how to do that. Lol, I felt custom at the beginning saying this is the worst. Okay, we'll stop and save the money for this route. Thanks, John. Yep, you got it. To make up 52,000 impressions and one sale. Yeah, that's I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Joseph says, thank you. You're welcome. Niha, thank you. Okay, I think I'll lower my spend for now. 2 conversions for CPC of 300. I would imagine that's probably CPA. I'm hoping it's not $300 per click because something went horribly wrong there. So not what I expected, I figured per conversion. Okay, $300 per conversion. Not what I expected, so I figured it might take some time. Just want to make sure I do the most right, and then we'll kind of cover that too. I think that's what I'm saying is that first 90 days is going to be just so painful. And actually, I'll share my screen again. Here's one of the reasons why. Started April 11th, if my memory serves me well, which most of the time it doesn't, but let's see how close I got. Okay, 10th. I was close. So right here from the 10th to the 13th. Now this company has 80,000 people per month going to their website. Like just insane. My cost per conversion in the first 3 days of Smart Shopping was hold on. Let's see the conversions here. I think it was the first 2 days, if I remember correctly. Hold on. This one was a launch that was really good. Yeah, it was like $20 cost per conversion in the first 2 days. Now this is an amazing campaign. This campaign was like just rock and rolling. And then the $20 eventually went a lot smaller as time went on because it started to know exactly where to find those people. And then we saw a lot more frequent results. This one was one that didn't have that immediate success. Let me just look at all time. Let me look at the shopping, do Smart.
Yeah, they were on the chopping block at one point. I remember it was touch and go. We weren't sure we were going to keep them.
Yeah, and I think that we started here. Let me just look at October. Let's see, October was it November? Let's see, where did this one go here? Yeah, this one, I think it was when we started with the daily here. Yeah, we had like one sale in the beginning, and then it was from the 25th to the 30th, we had 2, 4, 6 sales here, but the first one was like 5, and then it kind of like it fizzled out and like died after that for some period of time. I forget exactly what it was, but you'll have some days where it just has like some wonkiness and then starts and sputters, and then now it's just cruising right along. Here's like the next 7 days is just perfect. Like now we're doing 12 to 13 sales per day. And the like first day was 5, and then it was like 0, 0. So you're gonna have some odd wonkiness. So $300 cost per sale in the beginning, not uncommon. It needs to see those consistencies, and so that's where over time it gets better and better. I would say maybe just kind of hang tight, pause it for now, just in the beginning, until we start to see more consistency. And the way you feed it consistency is rather than from it kind of just going and hunting by itself and saying, how do people search for us? I don't know, find it. Where do people go? I don't know, find it. What keywords work? I don't know, find it. It has to do all that stuff. So it tests everything. Will pausing it mess up the learning? No, you're right now. What's nice is you're early enough that you can pause it because the reward of launching it with other campaigns are going to be a lot more beneficial than keeping it going for right now. So you can leave it going if you can afford to. It won't hurt it. You'll just probably end up spending maybe a little bit more money than you will when it's better optimized. But I would say, yeah, I was gonna say you read my mind. Just lower the spend. I would. What's your current daily spend, if you don't mind me asking? I'll pause both the Smart Shopping and the Search 373X. Yeah, I would pause everything right now. Just because, yeah, $40 for Smart. Bring it down to 20. I'd say bring it down to 20 just for right now, because we're gonna do, yeah, bring it down to 20 and then 5, and then maybe if your CPCs are under 2, bring it down to 5 for search. If your CPCs are over 2, leave it at 10, because that's 5 people per day. Yeah, that's perfect. So I would say it's gonna be very interesting when DSA is introduced, because that is like having an amazing search. It's like basically an amazing search campaign that we don't need to do all of the keyword research at first. But we're still relying on the same bidding strategies. It's going to be really cool. I think actually I might have an example of that too. One other one. We have a DSA campaign that just runs and runs and runs. This is lead generation. But what you'll see is if I do all of the enabled campaigns and then do it since, I don't know, let's say March, these campaigns here we're getting conversion rates of 20%, 12%, 18, 20, 12, 14, 15, 18, 7. Awesome stuff. Like these are great conversion rates. And then comes my new DSA campaign that I started building at 22%. I'm like, sweet. You know what? I'm just gonna, and you can see they're paused now, but I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna pause them all and stick all of these states into just one big DSA campaign. In the last 7 days, that DSA campaign is now up to 30% conversion rate. I'm getting $80 leads. And the same as their best performing one here, Kentucky, that we left on because they're in that state. But $24 cost per click and $80 leads because we have a 29% conversion rate. And we're like, wow, DSA. Well, why? Well, I stuck all of the states in my one campaign, and then now Maryland is actually outperforming Florida, which was one of our states that we used to spend a lot of money on. You can see it's still really popular, but horrible cost per conversion. I'm like, okay, well, why? Well, the search keywords are basically everything that we used to go after in the other campaigns, only now it says, but these states are better than these states for these certain terms. So DSA kind of basically reverse engineered of everything that we're trying to do individually. Is I told the client, what if we just stuff these all in one DSA campaign, and then use a cost restrictive type of bidding strategy like target CPA rather than maximize conversions. And now we're getting 30% conversion rates. So DSA can be extremely powerful, especially for e-commerce, because think about every single keyword that matches every single one of your products pages, all your product pages. So I'd say hang tight. You can leave them running if you want to. It'll learn. It's not going to possibly just all of a sudden just kick off, in the next couple of days. So if you want to just keep it learning, as you start to add more campaigns onto it, you'll see it start to get more and more activity and more sales. So, we're kind of splitting the hairs there, really. I can't predict if it is going to take off the next day or so. It might. You might have a 10-day time lag between when people start to search and when people buy, and you're starting possibly to start seeing the beginning workings of that. Like that one campaign that has 19 days before people buy. Those are all the things that are at work there.